did. So Simon Cochrane, aka Cochrane Simon. Who the heck is Simon Cochrane, and what's he done with your Instagram handle? Where did you start dabbling in Instagram?
Oh, quite a late adopter, really.
Yeah.
Like most social media stuff. Just I guess when everyone else was on there, I was like, oh, better jump on and document a bit of life.
Yeah, I think that's how I got into following you. I think we were speaking about Luke Taylor there earlier on, off here. He, I think, collaborated a bit of a group with what's his name, King as well.
Malcolm.
Yep.
A few of the local boys.
Another Chris. Yeah, Chris Dunn. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. And it was kind of a collective of, all you guys are triathletes, and then there was me podcasting. I think that's how we started following. But then COVID last year, you went in on the Real Movement Project. What sort of things were you looking to learn out of that, mate?
Yeah, it was just sort of came across Keegan and some of his training ideas, just sort of out of the box, which I quite liked, and wanted a bit of a change, I guess, over lockdown. Work on a bit of mobility, strength, because my background's probably more in the strength and movement. When I was personal training in Auckland, but sort of gone away from that more into the endurance side of things, but was keen to see if you could sort of align them a bit more, and had some pretty good benefits with I guess some slightly different movements.
So what would you say was different about your background, or how did you sort of start with personal training, or however you want to frame it?
Well, I was a panel beater.
Yeah, nice.
So did my apprenticeship panel beating and spray painting at out of school, which was good fun, but not the healthiest sort of lifestyle. Looking at some of the older guys and the way they were, not faring the best, I guess. And I'd always wanted to get into the health and fitness industry, so went back to uni, studied, and then worked as a personal trainer in Auckland for about 5 or 6 years. And that's where I sort of got introduced to a few endurance athletes. Never really done a lot of that, but once I sort of worked with a few guys and looked into it a bit more, I was hooked straight away. Yeah.
So what was your education route?
Through New Zealand Institute of Health and Fitness, up in Albany, and it was I think it's all changed names now, but can't remember. A long time ago now.
Do you remember what it was that made you pick that? Was it Access, or do you?
Access, and it was a bit of a fast track course. It was quite time intensive, but cut down the length, I guess, to get qualified and get out into the real world. We actually learn what you actually should know. Yeah.
And so were you still able to work while you were studying, or it was that intensive that it was like throw everything away for a period of time?
Yeah, no, I quit my panel beating, and I was like, all right, all in. Moved back home, and did that for sort of, I think it was a year, and then picked up a few coaching clients along the way, I guess, on the side.
Yeah. So how old were you did that?
So I did panel beating from, I think, about, would have been 18 to 23, I guess. So then 23 onwards has been more or less in the fitness industry. Yep.
Yeah. Shit. So what was the sort of discussion with your parents? Like, I'm coming home, I'm throwing away the apprenticeship I've just done, and I'm going to get involved with sports.
No, they backed that 100%.
Awesome.
Yep. I mean, I'd qualified as a panel beater and a painter, so I could always go back to that industry if I needed to or wanted to. But once I sort of set my sights on where I wanted to go through there, then it was just full steam ahead, really.
Yeah. And so starting out, what were you sort of equipped to do?
It was pretty basic, really. I mean, you got taught, basic physiology, anatomy, and some movements. But it was all fairly basic, and you learn more as you go. And looking back now, it's like the stuff they do teach you is pretty rubbish, really.
Yeah, and so like continuing that, what how's your path gone? What are some significant sort of points in the career so far?
Probably a couple of years into the personal training, guy approached me and said I want to do half Ironman.
Cool.
I was sort of like, well, I'd done a couple of triathlons at school and that sort of thing, and I was like, yeah, I can get ready for that. So devised a bit of a plan, and did some of the training with him, and I was like, oh, this is pretty fun. I might enter as well, and yeah, entered, and it was a few months later. Did the half Ironman down at Rotorua, Suffer. Big booze up afterwards, and at the awards they had a spot prize for an entry into the full Ironman and Challenge Wanaka, which was only 3 weeks later. I happened to win that. I thought, fuck it, we'll go. I hadn't ridden over 100 Ks, or I might have run a marathon, not that great, but we thought, we'll go down and do it, and that's sort of where it kicked off.
Fuck. So what was your training base like there? Like you said you'd done some triathlons at school. Like what?
Oh no, like 2 triathlons at school.
Yeah.
So no training sort of for them. But I think looking back at school now, I think endurance was one of my strong points without probably trying too hard. I always remember a PE class doing the old beep test.
Yeah.
And the sort of stud of the school, the guy who was first 11 captain, soccer guy, fittest guy in the school. Somehow it got down to just me and him.
Yeah.
And we were just battling it out. And of course, all the other guys were cheering me on to try and beat this guy, and ended up beating him. I think we got up to like almost 12 on the beat test or something.
Nice.
And yeah, that was sort of, I guess, the start of realising that I might have a bit of endurance in the blood.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And so going through school, what sort of events would sort of show up that could prove that to you that endurance was applicable to something?
Oh, not a lot then. Nah, yeah. It was rugby and it was pretty much
rugby.
Yeah. And the forward pack.
You were?
Yeah, number 8.
Nice. So is that where you like eye for strength comes in? Because number 8's big and burly and moving bodies and.
Yeah, I guess the early stages in the personal training, I was all about getting big, getting buff. I was probably up to about 90 kilos. Yeah. Which is about 15 odd more than I am now.
Yeah.
So sort of went up to that, and then as I started training for triathlon, came back down to probably my high school weight.
Yeah. So were you still playing footy by that stage or no?
Nah, not after school.
Not after school. Yeah. So what was your sporting environment like, or training environment like while you were a pedal beater?
Drifting and drinking bourbon was probably
what
the two.
What did you drive?
Nissan 180 SX.
Oh.
This was the original days of drifting, so it's like
this is sweet. So where did you go to do all that?
This is when Albany was getting developed, so it was pretty much night times up in the industrial areas. Just going nuts.
Did you ever get on a track and give it a whirl?
Yeah. Went to Pukekohe, Manfield, a couple of times.
Yeah.
But then you're just facing the guys who've got the endless money that are pouring it in. But
tyres, actually all of it.
Tyres, engines, yeah.
Gear sticks up to here. No, far out. And so where did the car come from? And how long did it last?
No, it lasted. Yeah. Just that was one of the projects, I guess, when I was panel beating for those years. It's just all the boys had a car, and we're just, that's what you do on the weekends.
Yeah.
Was doing a bit of kickboxing on the side. So in the evenings on the way home from work, I do 3 or 4 nights of kickboxing. I guess that was a bit of fitness, but not a lot of running or anything there until those later years.
Yeah. And so looking back, was it just basically having fun, eh? Like early 20s having fun.
Yep. And don't regret that, because a lot of the athletes sort of have that 10 to 15 year window.
Yeah. And
a lot of them start when they're 15 and they're done by their 25, And I pretty much started, I did my first Ironman at 24.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I'm still improving now and still enjoy it now, whereas a lot of people get burnt out or injured or feel like they've missed out on their,
their potential.
Yeah. Or their adolescence.
Yeah,
those years.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. Well, yeah, I know being involved with swimming, 8-year-old going to a New Zealand juniors, this is the shit, took 3 more years to go to another one.
Yep.
And like, you know, that was tears on the side of the pool and shit like that. And then, you know, it was South Island's doing quite well, going to a Div 2's doing quite well. Next year going to a Div 1's, and then not making a final. I was like, heck, how much more of this can I do? And yeah, after that, the wheels really fell off. Started playing water polo, you know, the enjoyment of your team with football and water polo, volleyball. And it's just like, nah, can't keep doing the swimming thing. But yeah, you see the Olympics day, and it's like the odd 18 and 19-year-old goes good, but yeah, there's ones that are in their 20s. They're the ones that are crushing swimming. And you look at a sport like swimming, and you think, imagine if swimmers could go till they're 30.
Yeah. But see, that's where I probably wish I had done some swimming, because it's pretty hard to pick up when you're 25 and try and progress through to the elite side of, you know, swimming.
Yeah.
At least it's only triathlon swimming.
Yeah.
It's not quite as...
So what did you do? What was your process to adapt to swimming and you know, get competitive?
Yeah, well, the first 5 years, I guess, was just coaching myself and just training, reading a few books, you know, probably doing the wrong things. Looking back, you know, you can always do it better, and I learned a lot along the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just getting stuck in, really, and doing a lot of racing, just learning along the way.
Yeah. And like coaching wise, was there many people to surround yourself with, or just bouncing ideas? Yeah,
I probably only had 3 coaches in my life. And one old school Aussie guy who was pretty hard ass, and he learned a lot from him. He'd give you the old sessions of like 40 by 1k running.
Yeah,
it's just like, right, you hit your paces, a lot of time trials on the bike, and just taught you the good mindset, I guess. A lot of mental skills to get the most out of you in training and race day.
Yeah. So that first half Ironman you did in Rotorua, like, would you say a few months out, you decided to enter. What did that feel like? How did it go?
It went pretty good, I guess. I mean, I wasted the guy that I was coaching to do it. But I mean, it was an average time. It might have been 6 hours. So it was like, it was nothing flash, but it was enjoyable. Got through it. And same with the first Ironman. It was maybe 11. I think it was 11 hours 20.
Yeah.
And then 3 months after that Ironman, I entered Ironman New Zealand and took an hour off the time.
Wow.
Just from, I mean, the course was a bit easier, but it's, just learning how to deal with the day, really.
Yeah, that's big, and that's where I think removing myself from the half, well, it wasn't half, sorry, the 53 Ultra that I did, that many times it's run through my head, like what you do differently and like the pacing that you do, and, you know, when you're confronted with it, with the pain and with the effort and the mindset, you kind of go, well, maybe I'll hold back here because I might need it later. But I did have the words that you said to me ringing in my head there, like it made it always hurt. So you just get faster. So like in Tony Dodds' words, it was like it hurt, but it never got worse. And so I had those two mantras in my head going along, but. Yeah, when you replay it back, you're like, oh, I could have picked up some time there, could have picked up some time there. Like, I wonder if I hadn't taken the wrong turn and I'd been in front of a few guys, would I have had that extra bit of ego to push me along and things like that. So, yeah, it's interesting that you say another 3 months later you can shave off an hour.
Yeah, and I think that's why the sport's so addictive, is you cross the finish line, you're always like, oh, I could have picked up a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. Like, always still, like, there's always things to work on. There's not many people that say I've had that perfect day.
Yeah.
I think there's always something that can be improved on.
Do you think the only perfect day when it comes to Ironman is winning in Kona?
Yeah, but even then they're struggling. They're not enjoying it. So I think the perfect day would be winning, but not feeling the pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck, who was that I was listening to? I don't know, but it was someone was saying about that's usually the person that wins, the one that enjoys it. The one that struggles along and battles along is the one that will be the first to crack and give up.
Yeah, the one that's smiling is generally, doing all right.
Yeah. So where does that attitude come from? it's not going to get any worse. If I just enjoy it, if I just smile, I'll keep going. Or did you have a little bit of brute force when you started off?
No, I think that's just something you pick up along the way.
Yeah.
You just realise there's no point whinging, no point complaining. It's not going to make you get to the finish line any quicker. It's actually going to slow you down.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
those negative thoughts don't help at all. So I think there's always that mindset of staying positive every situation and just being prepared.
Yeah.
And knowing that you've prepared as best as you can.
Yeah. So when your training doesn't go to plan, how do you put that to one side for you?
Training or race day?
Yeah, so your training hasn't necessarily gone to plan, but you're at the race, you're in the race. How do you put that doubt of well, maybe I'm not prepared, but you're there?
I think that's just, when you're at race day and you've, I guess, having the mindset that you've still done all that you can to the best of your ability, then you still got to be confident in what you can put out. If you know you've slacked off or you know you've gone soft on a few sessions, then that will come back to you in the late stages of the bike and run. Deep down, you can't hide that. But I think if you've put in the effort in the training, even if there's a few sessions you've missed or you've had some injuries or whatnot, but if you've done the best you can with the time you've had, then you can get the most out of yourself.
So how do you sort of think about the training? Do you think about it as a large body of work, or does each training session need its outcome, and how do you put it to one side if the sort of outcome measure wasn't met or whatever? Is it all about the effort that you put in, or the?
Yeah, well, back in the day, used to stress out a lot if you missed a session or whatever. But now I sort of realise that it's not the one session that makes the difference at all. It is the accumulative build up. Mm-hmm. So if you can be consistent across even a few months, a few years, a decade, then that's where you see the big improvements and the big gains.
Yeah. So we were talking about you and Tim going on that ride on Christmas Eve. I think you did 300 Ks or so.
Yep, 304 Ks.
Yeah. Where do you come up with that idea for starters? But what's it like to get up to those sort of Ks around Christmas and then have the event delayed?
Yeah, I always give myself a bit of a challenge pre-Christmas. The year before I ran the Timber Trail through the night, which was quite a cool mission. And then this last year I was like, I've always wanted to ride 300 Ks. So devised a bit of a plan, do two big 150k loops, and Tim joined me for the first one for the early shift. I think we kicked off about 3:30, and then my old man and another guy actually joined me for the second loop, which went way better than expected. Like I think we averaged nearly 33k an hour for 9 and a bit hours for the 300k. So a bit worried about what I'm going to have to do this Christmas now. Yeah.
And then just like jaunts up high here and pinnacles and stuff like that. Does that just become a bit of fun? Is that a bit of fun for you?
Yeah, training now, I think, especially moving into sort of some ultra races and that sort of thing, is you got to make the training fun, and it doesn't have to be as specific. Like for these long, like say the Tarawera 100k and longer, and that, nothing has to be super specific. Like the fitter you are, the stronger you are, you're going to go well if you've got your mental side sorted, your nutrition sorted. There's only so much training you can do.
Yeah.
It's like, because it's a 100k run or because it's a 100-mile run, you can't just double your training because it's going further.
Yeah.
So I think it's just more of the preparation doesn't need to change as much, but you can add in some more adventure days to get those longer ones in.
Good times. Yeah, you brought up nutrition there. Pies and Coke. It's just about getting energy dents.
Oh, the odd session has a pint of Coke, but it's got to be a special one for that. Nutrition is such a big thing that changes, and it's so individual. I mean, I've tried every different diet under the sun.
Yeah.
Apart from vegan or vegetarian, I don't think that will ever happen. But in terms of low carb, high carb, and I don't find a huge difference with any. So So I've sort of gone back to a bit of a balanced diet. Just sort of eat what I want when I want. And then the race day nutrition is sort of tracking towards a bit more liquid lately, especially with the longer runs. Just a bit easier on the gut and easier to carry the nutrition rather than having a ton of bars and all sorts in your pack. It's just like you can really load up the liquid nutrition a lot easier to carry.
No, I definitely found things like ice creams were starting to creep into my diet, and a lot more kumara came along when I was doing, getting, the remarkable thing for me with that training was getting up in the morning and running a half marathon when I'd never done one in my life before until I started training, and it was like, oh, that's a bizarre thought. And now going back to, train for 7Ks to run up Tomato Peak, it's kind of like, oh yeah, do a 5K run just off the couch again, and it was like, well, that's quite cool to be able to do. Yeah. So just thinking about the mindset and being able to, do the training and then being confident to apply your training to the event. That's definitely another mind shift that I've had from doing the ultra, training for the ultra, and then, like I said, I've gone back to doing CrossFit to just sort of find the time allowance, the energy systems that are involved in that sit really well for what I'm doing and stage in my life. But it's funny to then be able to go back and dabble in some jogging. It's quite good.
Yeah, the human body's pretty cool. Can adapt pretty fast. Like I coached a lady who approached me in December last year to do the Ironman in March.
Right. Yeah. What was that? 4 months.
4 months. Never done a lot of swimming or biking. Had run one marathon. But we got her ready and she enjoyed it. So it's amazing what the body can do with the short preparation.
Yeah. But I think the mental as well is being able to appreciate top 2 fun, eh? That's a long day, the Ironman.
Yeah. But then I guess perspective, like looking at some of these people doing these 200-mile runs now, it's like an Ironman's a pretty short, intense race now. Like the elite side of the racing now is pretty much threshold for 8.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like you're never sort of easing up anywhere along the way now. Whereas when I first started, like 10 or so years ago, you sort of thought of it as a aerobic, all day effort sort of race. And now it's like you're swimming as hard as you can, you're biking as hard as you can, and you're giving that run all you've got. So it's a different mindset, definitely.
So when you say threshold, you're trying to hold a pace for that time? You're pacing it?
Yeah, definitely pacing it, but it's more of an internal pacing. I mean, there's power meters and there's watches and that sort of thing, but I think when it comes down to it, when you're going over what you can hold. Okay, like you're on the bike and you're like, okay, I may need to do this just for a little bit to bridge a gap or to hold a certain power for a time, but deep down you're like, okay, this is too much, or this is not quite enough. You can pick it up a bit. And same on the run. It's like, yeah, you can blast out for 10Ks, but deep down this is going to end ugly, or
So that becomes the difference of it's racing, then, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then there's certain situations where you have to take that risk. It's like there's guys going up the road, and it's like if you don't have a go on the bike now, it's like they're going to be gone, and then that's the day done. Yeah.
So there's not the same confidence that you might see them later.
Certain guys, that you'll see them later, but a lot of the top guys now, I mean, New Zealand's got a lot of top Ironman guys, and it's like if they get away, then the day's done.
So at their level, elite level, how much sort of knowledge do you have of how someone's going to show up on the day?
Oh, I mean, you never know how they're going to show up on the day, but you got guys that that are consistent performers and are going to do well, and even if they're at 90%, they're still going to do pretty well. And then you've got guys that will swim and bike and then explode, so you sort of let them go and pass them later on.
And is there any effort in New Zealand to sort of have pacing or anything like that?
I mean, the bike packs as such, you got your 12-meter gap, but being in there is pretty beneficial. And then that gets quite, I guess, strategic, having a good swim, making sure you're out with the fast guys on the bike, and then that sort of helps you pace along for a solid bike and set up the run.
No, Buzzy. That's insane. So, what does training day work balance look like for you, man?
Oh, it's changed a bit over the years. When you chuck a couple of kids in there, it makes it a bit different, but you just got to be a bit more time efficient. But then I think because I've got the 10 years of base fitness and racing and 35 Ironmans under the belt, then body knows what to do, and I know what training suits me best. So I can probably be a bit more efficient with the day-to-day training, I guess. And just planning it out around work, around kids, around other activities, I guess. And I'm lucky that my work's flexible and my family's pretty flexible and understanding.
Beautiful. So how do you look at a year now? Like, do you have a perfect number of events?
COVID year or non-COVID year?
Sorry, we should have framed that. Before all the uncertainty happened, what was your sort of good feeling about a number of events for a year?
So a standard sort of year was like the New Zealand summer, where you'd have racing from December through till March. Yeah. And then I'd usually pick one Aussie Ironman, and then probably like an Asian Ironman. And then, if you'd done well, then Hawaii Ironman in October, with a few run races and different sort of events thrown in over winter. Yeah. Probably 3 trips away a year. But haven't been away since COVID. Yeah. And
so would you be choosing events to target or something like that? Or
Yep. I was really enjoying the challenge of the hot Asian races, Taiwan, Philippines, Japan, Malaysia, those sort of races. I think I went fairly well in the heat, compared to some other people. And prepared for them like I built my own heat chamber and trained in the New Zealand winter and that sort of thing, and just enjoyed getting to those countries and doing a bit of exploring as well. Yeah.
And so when you now have a season, how does your training structure sort of work? Do you have small sort of building windows and then small tapers off, or some of the lesser events you just kind of are in a training mode, or how does it work?
No, sort of roll through some training races as such early in the season and over winter, and then sort of picking 2 or 3 key races over the summer, which is usually like Tauranga Half Ironman New Zealand, and for the last couple of years it's been Tarawera 102k, which has sort of usually been just 3 weeks before Ironman, which has been quite interesting. The last couple of years.
So when you're in a race that you're training through, what are some of the things you're trying to work on or think about?
I guess it's good time obviously to practice in nutrition. Yeah. Can practice a sort of mini taper into it, just a couple of days, seeing how the body responds, practicing your warm up, your wake up times, transitions, and that sort of thing. And you're still racing as hard as you can. You might just not be going in quite as fresh, and quite often you'll surprise yourself and actually go fairly well. Yeah.
Is there a chance of picking up an injury, something like that, or are you just as likely when you're in training?
Yeah, generally not. Like if you're going into a race with a bit of load in the legs, generally you can't push as hard, so you're not going to sort of max out the legs as such. You might just perform a little bit less for the same effort.
Yeah. And so Tarawera, have you paced at Tarawera or just always raced?
Just two races. First year I can't really count as a race because it was a bit of a trudge, but it was aiming to race.
Yeah. Why was that a trudge? Because of weather or?
No, just first time running 100k's and get to about 60, 70k's and wheels fall off and still got half a marathon to go.
40k's. Yeah.
But got through it and learned a lot and took away those learnings into this year's race. And I think I took an hour 45 off and had a pretty good run pretty good run this year.
Yeah. So when you're trudging, does it ever turn around when you got 100 k's?
Yeah, that's in those long races. You can really go through those stages where you're feeling like absolute rubbish, but having the confidence that get some nutrition in, and then you can turn it around.
Oh wow, that's nice. So what goes through your mind when you're pacing a race, like a marathon or something? You done pacing at Rotorua, is that right?
Yeah. Pace the 3R group at Rotorua this year, which was real good fun. Like trying to get some people through to some goal times. Not too much thinking. Like obviously, when you're pacing a race, you got to be confident that you can run that pace any day of the week, so you're not gonna fade off or explode as such. So you're fairly confident at the start that you can get through it. So it is enjoyable though, chatting along to a few people and giving a few people a hurry up.
And did you guys push a little harder this year? Was that right? You took a couple of people under the 3 hours?
Yeah, well, we got to sort of 30 k's and there was only 5 guys with us, and the other guys were quite far back. And they were going well, so we sort of asked them how they're feeling and if they want to push on a little bit more. And cranked it up a little bit, and I think we got most of them to about 255, which was yeah. And
you're just doing that off watch? Is that what you did?
Yep. The thing with that Rotorua course is it's always a little bit long.
What do you think by that?
It's pretty much 42.7, so it's almost like 500 metres long. I don't know why. When you're doing a little out and back at the start, they should be able to get it pretty bang on, but I think pretty much everyone's watch was 42.7 or something.
Yeah, and no one's really stopping on that, eh?
No.
Yeah, because that was the controversy of Aotearoa Ultra. Everyone's like, oh, my watch says, for the 100 and 104s, they're like, oh, we did 107, and Margaret was like, we did 56, and the guy's like, no, you guys just stop it.
But if you're taking all the corners, nice and tight, then it probably would have been a bit closer.
Yeah. Have you listened to Zach Better talking with Lex Friedman?
No.
It's fascinating, talking about running 100 k's on the track. Yeah. But he's going around the second lane, so he's probably doing a little bit more. But once you get over 100k, and some of the things when he said about mindset and preparedness, it's just kind of the body of work, and one of the real big takeaways I took from him is that he doesn't think about a race on its own. He's sort of like, that's the last 2 or 3% of my life, and so when I'm signing up for a race, it's the whole body of work, and that's what helps me get through the tough times. What are some of the tools that you or mental tools you sort of use to get through the tough times?
Yeah, I guess same thing. It's just getting as prepared as you can, ticking all those boxes with recovery, getting your sessions done, the extra strength sessions, stretching, that sort of thing, getting your body in the best shape you can with the time that you've got. Some people have got more time, some people have a lot less time, but if you're putting 100% into the time that you've got, I think you've got to be confident that that's as good as you're going to go. So get out and enjoy it. Yeah.
So what's the sort of application for Athletic Peak, mate?
So since I was doing my sort of, I guess, strength coaching back in when I first started in Auckland, then I did an OE with a mate, so we cruised around Europe in a camper van and did a few Ironmans and a few races and learnt a lot over there. And then when I came back, I got more into the endurance side of coaching, and my own racing, I guess, was a bit higher on the priority list as well. So I started racing professionally, learning a lot more, studying a lot more, and quite enjoying bringing some of the strength side of things into the endurance side as well. So I've been coaching a bunch of athletes for quite a few years now, and really enjoying that.
So what's sort of some of the strength? What are some of the values in bringing strength into an endurance athlete? Yeah,
so it's tough because people only have so much time, and I mean, even when I was running 100 k's a week or whatever, it's pretty hard to fit a squat or a deadlift session in there. Yeah. So ideally, I think it would be good to do some workshops and show people what they can do, and then it's just up to them to fit it in between sessions where they've got time, because it is quite hard to schedule extra strength work in when you're swimming 4 or 5 times a week in the morning, trying to fit a bike and a run in as well. So I think it's choosing a point in the season, maybe after your big key race, where you can, spend a month doing a little bit more of the strength stuff, and that can help set you up for the rest of the year.
So what are going to be some of the benefits of putting that block in?
Just having the resiliency, I guess, just strengthening up all your major joints, your lower back, your knees, your hips, your ankles, and then, your shins, getting to a bit more of that real movement sort of stuff. Your tib raises, your lower back strength, so you're not blowing out in the aero position on the bike.
So you've been sort of resonating with the knees over toes stuff, or a little bit of the range of strength as well?
Yep. But the same thing, it's really hard to fit into the plan. I mean, ideally you'd have more hours in the day, or recover a lot easier from the strength stuff when you're trying to fit in all your aerobic training as well. Yeah,
I know, even for myself, it's kind of like I've got those knees over toes skills that I learned. I do sort of 2 days in the gym that I do that program, and then now I'm trying to do it. I'm like, can't do it. And then during COVID, I had a really good run with the range of strength stuff, working on splits and opening up the adductors and stuff. And then, like I say, the hours in the day close down again, and you go, it'd be good to have a bit more flexibility through the groin and the hips.
Yeah. Well, lockdown, I had a bit of a niggle in my ankle, so backed off the endurance training a lot. So then I gave myself 6 weeks of pretty much doing strength work, mobility work, which I really enjoyed, and saw some big gains. Like when I came back to running, I was just running the best I ever had. Like efficiency felt good, running economy, and then I guess stride length, muscle activation, everything. Like ran my quickest half marathon when I'd only been back running 4 months.
And that was in training or at an event?
No, at an event. Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And
so I think I guess that gave me the confidence to know that at the start of a season you could really back off the endurance training, chuck a big strength block in there, and get back into things. Because I guess I've got a bit more base than the average athlete.
Yeah. So, where does the ability, like I say, you see everybody's workload and things like that. You know that you've got a massive training age and a massive endurance base. How do you sort of temper that comparison to continue with your own plan that's slightly different?
Compared to what I give my athletes,
or what you see in other people that they're going to be competing against or racing with. Are you competing against them, or are you just racing with them?
Bit of both.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're only seeing what's on social media as well, so you're only seeing the best of what they're doing. You're not seeing their tough days, their injury sessions where they're stopping and that sort of thing. So you got to sort of take it with a bit of grain of salt. And I guess just have the confidence in what you're doing is working, and the coach that you're working with has your best values at heart, and
just pick the plan and stick to the plan.
Yep. And there's no secret plan.
It's
just doing the work day in, day out. The endurance training isn't that sort of, I guess there's no big secrets there. The fitter you are, the stronger you are, and the more mentally tough you are, the better you're going to go. There's no two ways about it.
So you see the likes of Wanaka have a massive crew of endurance athletes. How's it going in the Waikato?
Oh, Waikato's pretty good, pretty solid. There's a lot of guys that have done well from the Waikato. And especially with the high performance base there, we've got a lot of Olympic athletes here as well. So I guess it's holding its own.
Plus there's a little bit you save on a little bit of time in terms of travel, right?
Yeah. Well, compared to living in Auckland, then there's you get to the pool, there's free parking, there's no traffic, and just makes things a bit more accessible, I guess.
Yeah.
And riding on the roads is, I'm out the door and I'm straight on country roads.
Yeah.
There's no battling downtown Auckland rush hour or 10 sets of traffic lights to get out on the road.
Yeah, although the 1B is the world's most windiest road or misaligned road.
Yeah, there's plenty of side roads.
Yeah, good. What other tools do you use for that mental side of things, or conversely, where do you apply that mental side of racing to the rest of your life?
I guess the most you're learning it in training. So like you're taking it into your training sessions when you've got your hard interval sessions. It's about just finding that focus, whether you've got like a 1 minute interval or you've got a 60k run to go and do. It's all relative, I guess. It's just getting in the zone and having things to focus on, I guess. And everyone's a little bit different. Like some people will want their music cranking, some people listen to a podcast, and others will just want the peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And I think there's a time and place for all of those things as well, different sessions. And then, it's just, I think it comes down to the commitment. If you're committed to get those sessions done, then you're more likely to succeed.
Yeah.
And that's the same with work, family. You're just choosing you've always got a choice, the easy way or the hard way.
Yeah, choosing
They both take the same amount of time and effort. Some things take a bit more effort, but usually they're worthwhile.
Yeah. So what are some of the tools, like technical tools that you like to use, like watches or power meters or breath or?
What do you
monitor and measure? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, power meter on the bike and watch on the run are the two main things. Heart rate is good if you've got a heart rate strap and you've got plenty of data to go off, just because heart rate ranges are huge. Like you can't just do the old 180 minus your age and that's your that's your zones. So you've got to do a lot of testing, but power and pace on the run are the two main metrics. But then when it comes to race day, I think it's got to be that feeling. My best races have been when I've just turned the computer off and run with no watch.
Yeah.
And quite often, like if you're looking at a power meter on the bike and you're looking at a number, and if it's feeling hard, you look at the number and it's just like, oh shit, am I pushing too hard? Or if it's feeling easy, you think, oh shit, am I pushing too easy? And it's like, well, in each of those situations, you're better off just pushing harder anyway. Yeah. And not worrying about what the number is.
Yeah. And how do you measure recovery?
Well, I guess it's just training load versus how much time you've got to recover, and a bit of history. Like some people can handle a lot more volume, and it's just working out the individuals. If some people got a stressful job, a stressful life, then that's just as stressful as the training. So you got to allow for more recovery or slightly lighter sessions. Or if you've got someone that's got so much time, no family, not a stressful job, then they can train 30 hours a week and get through it all right.
Yes.
But I guess nutrition, recovery, sleep, and all the massage tools and all the standard ice bath, sauna.
Yeah. So when you're programming for an athlete, is that part of your job, is sort of helping them assess their level of recovery?
Yeah, I guess you learn a lot about the athlete just even in the way they're commenting in sessions or the way they execute sessions. If the week's been too big, if they're getting to their key sessions on the weekend and just blowing out, giving up, or saying, oh, I've got a niggle, or it just didn't happen. And then you sort of got to look back and ask the questions, well, was it the training load, or are there other things going on as well? Yeah. And most of the time can get the training load pretty bang on. Most of the time it's the other things, like, did they have a big work event on the Wednesday night and have a few extra beers and less sleep, and then they're just trying to jam extra stress on top of that? Or is it other things.
And how do you sort of find the balance between that's some mental adversity or some also physical adversity for them to overcome, and it's good that they're overcoming it in the training, and maybe that's something in the bank for later versus that ever present potential for injury?
Yeah, that is a tough one. I mean, injuries are a fairly common thing in the endurance world because the volume is relatively high. So it's just making sure that the build is progressive and there are recovery weeks in there, and that's sort of setting them up for the best way. And if there are any niggles or tight parts of the body, then I want them to sort of tell me straight away so we can address that, adjust the rest of the week. So they may have like, a couple of days off running rather than just push through. Oh, she'll be right, and then 6 weeks off.
6 weeks off, yeah.
So that's the struggle, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that like scheduled rest and the idea to hang on can.
Everyone always wants 1 more week before the rest, and it's like no, it's better to take the rest before you need it.
Yeah.
Rather than have the forced rest.
So when you're coaching role, is that like a sit down conversation, or is it just sort of day to day training session to training session?
Sort of an ongoing thing. Generally, I'll work on sort of like 3 or 4 bigger weeks, and then have a slight sort of deload week, and then you might have a couple of test sessions on that weekend, so you go into it a bit fresher, and then do a couple of sort of hard sessions for the week. So you're still getting a fair amount of intensity in there, but mentally it's a bit of a deload as well. So like I might give them an extra sleep in one morning, or a full day off, or just drop that volume right down so it feels like. Quite often they'll complain or try and add more, and it's like no, just take the rest now, and then next week can be extra hard.
And what are you testing for? Is it like elements of the race or the event, or?
Yeah. Generally, sort of like it'll either be like a time trial on the bike or the run, and something that can be repeated just to check progress and how it's going really.
And that's a proportion of the event. So, like say it's the Ironman, doing a half marathon or even that long. Yeah,
different length. I mean, I always encourage everyone to do some shorter triathlons or running races as a test event, because you're always going to push harder when you've got people to line up against rather than just say, right, you're going to have to do a 10k time trial by yourself. But yeah, I mean, you can work out how people are going from doing a 5k or a 10k or a half marathon, and sort of tracking that along the way.
And with tri-sports, with these sort of events that get you a chance to look at each discipline in isolation, but as a whole and as a race, and how do you feel? You've sort of got multitudes of feedback within that, isn't it? Like your overall performance with the race, your overall performance on each event, and then your transition as well, right?
Yep. And then nutrition and everything,
like
gear. So there's so many facets that can come down to your performance on the day. So I guess it's just ironing them out in your key sessions in the lead up. So in the lead up, you'll do your brick sessions where you're going from swim to bike to run with the gear that you're going to be using on race day.
Yeah. And
I even get them to have the same breakfast they're going to have on race day and try and time that correctly. Just so you leave no questions on the table, I guess.
Yeah. And gear is there's pretty much a consensus of what's useful for an Ironman these days, or it's always been tweaked and
it's always been pretty tweaked. I mean, with the new bikes, they're lighter, they're stronger, they are a bit faster, but at the end of the day you got to have the legs to ride them, and then the carbon shoes that people are running with,
they've been coming into the
they're proven that they are quicker. Same thing, they're not going to make you run your marathon half an hour quicker just because you chuck the shoes on. They might give you a 5-minute boost if you're a top runner. The same thing, you got to be able to handle those shoes as well, because they do take a lot more out of your body as well,
because they're bouncing.
Yep. So they're working different muscles. It's the same thing. It's just getting prepared, doing a few key sessions in those shoes so you know that you can handle them, rather than just slapping them on race day and hoping for the best.
For the best. Yeah, that's an expensive exercise, isn't it? Maybe, doing all your training with a $250 pair of shoes to then get another pair a couple of weeks out so they're fresh.
Yeah, Ironman's not a cheap sport.
No.
No.
Yeah, that was one of the... I always thought I was one of these people that wanted to do coast to coast, and then I trained for the ultra, and I was like, I'm not so sure I want to do coast to coast anymore. And then someone told me the cost, and I was like, yeah, that's a big goal.
Yeah.
Ironman and Attack is not much different.
No, it's pretty expensive, but I guess it's not just the event fee, it's the time you gotta take off work, it's the accommodation, it's the gear, nutrition, the massage, the chiropractors, the pool entry, the coaching, it all does add up. But I mean, it's a popular sport and it's a pretty good lifestyle.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think the return on investment is? It's like it's endurance sport's like a bizarre, like I said, you gotta like some type 2 fun to be into it. Like,
yep, I think the group rides on the weekend and the runs and the people that you meet are a huge positive.
Yeah,
and then you get in the healthier lifestyle. I guess it can turn into a bit of a family event as well. Getting everyone involved. So yeah,
awesome. And have you created some friends for life, obviously?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of friends through coaching, through racing, through competing overseas and that sort of thing that you see. Met my wife through Ironman.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now you got kids and homes and
yeah,
all the things. Mate, do you like we said about before? It's uncertain. You enter a race and then it's postponed and then it's cancelled. Like, do you have a plan at the moment?
Oh, I mean, there's plenty of races out there, but you just don't know what is going to go on. So I think you just got to think positive. Still enter the races. You got to support the people who are putting the races on, because if they're not getting supported, then those races are going to start disappearing pretty quick. So I'm still entering races and training for them as you think they're going to go ahead, and that's all you can really do. Yeah, I think New Zealand's in a pretty good position. I think we know we are compared to the rest of the world for how I guess well we've handled the situation, how well we're going. I mean, you even look at Aussie in the last couple of weeks. I know. Shit's hit the fan again, and all the races just get gone. Yeah. Whereas New Zealand's got quite a few running events coming up, and then the summer season's going to roll around again pretty quick. And at this stage, it looks like we're full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead. So not quite steam, but heat. You've just bloody built a sauna. How was that experience, mate?
Yeah, it was cool. I've always wanted a sauna at home. I mean, I've always responded well to heat training and really liked the sauna. And to have one at home where you don't have all the other dodgy, sweaty guys at the gym that you go to and don't know what's been going on in there, it's quite nice. So, yeah, did a bit of research. Wanted the traditional rock steam sauna. So, yeah, bought a kit set one and sort of did a few mods, made it waterproof and, setting it up outside, which is quite a nice little area. So it's pretty much all ready to go. Just waiting for the electrician to come and do the final hookup next week, and then set the deep freeze ice bath up next to it. Yeah, that'll be a nice.
Have you got that already? Or?
Yeah. Do a nice little recovery area.
Yeah, and so what are your sort of tactics of using those two tools?
There's a lot of different theories. I mean, the fitter you are, the better you're going to go in the heat anyway. But if you're racing over the New Zealand summer or some of those Asian races, then getting a bit more heat tolerance is always going to help as well. And I think it's just teaching your body to sweat more, to cool yourself down more. So jumping in there straight after a session when your core temp's already hot, and not drinking or not pouring water on your head, and sort of toughen it out that way, has been quite a good protocol followed. Like, say you do a hard 2-hour run, come back, jump in the sauna, no liquid, no cold showers, sort of just go until you tap out, jump out, and then wait a couple more hours before you actually start hydrating.
Okay.
So you're teaching your body to cool itself down, just become a lot more efficient in the heat. And then it's that mental side as well, where you're hot, you want to get out. It's like, nah, give yourself another 5 minutes, give yourself another minute, another 20 seconds, you know, and just working out ways to push on.
Yeah. What have you found the most effective? Some breaths and...
Yeah, usually counting breaths, trying to slow that down, which is going to help sort of time go by and just give you something to focus on. But yeah, watching a stopwatch is no good.
Definitely. If I found myself looking out the door at the clock at the last place was hard. Having a podcast to listen to was quite good. Yeah. Is there speakers in this?
Yeah, there's Bluetooth speakers in the roof, so I'm quite excited to
roof. Interesting spot.
Yeah, to see how it see how it goes.
Yeah, and who'd you get that from?
Online.
Yeah,
just a place that's sound like a Swedish guy or something that imports them and sends them out. So
when you were sort of heat training, heat adapting, what were you doing, like steam room of the bike or treadmill of the bike, or just like you said, training and then going into the heat? And
so I was doing some of the training and then going into the sauna. But then I also built a little heat chamber, so it was like a one of those veggie garden sort of glass house material one that I built inside the garage. Then I set my bike and trainer up in there, chuck a couple of like heaters in there, get that up to could get up to like high 30s. And then do some training in there in that heat as well, which was
make a mess.
Another way. Yeah.
What sort of how do you feel about the wind trainer stationary bike sort of phenomenon going on, like Yahoo kickers and pelotons and all that sort of jazz?
Yeah, you got to learn to love it. Like it's same thing. It's efficient training. Like I can get.
Have you brought that into your repertoire, or is it still the same? Just chuck the bike on a wind trainer.
Oh no, with the Zwift and the online training and that, it does make it a bit more interesting. You know, you can jump on and do a race any time of the day. There's 50 guys ready to line up against you, and definitely get more out of yourself. And then you can set up your structured sessions in there, and
So in the Waikato where it bloody rains, do you find yourself resorting to that, or it's just can't be getting out on the road even if it is terrible weather?
Oh, close to a race, you got to get out on the road. And if your race is going to be in the rain, which in New Zealand it's high chance it is, you got to get out. But the Waikato winter, if it's an average dark sort of day, then if the bike's on the trainer, it's like you're up, headphones on or something, and you're on your trainer. It's a lot better. It's a lot safer as well, especially if it's dark or foggy or pouring down. Then you don't have to worry about the cars and that sort of thing. So I'm not adverse to doing plenty on the trainer.
And so what's the difference for being on the road actually out there, like say preparing for the race?
We're not getting airflow, so it's a lot hotter. Quite often you have to set up a fan or something. There's no freewheeling, so trainer ride is more efficient for getting the work done. I don't let anyone say, the trainer session I did 2 hours, so that's worth my 3-hour ride on the road or anything like that. There's no shortcuts there, but just feel like you're getting a little bit of a bonus. Having to use the trainer all the time. So
you still think the time part's important, but you're actually getting a better output from the trainer?
So there's no slowing down for corners. There's no stopping at traffic lights or roundabouts or cafes. You get on, get the work done, and you get off.
So is the stopping for a long black an important part of going for a ride?
I've been a huge stopper on my rides, but if you're on a group ride or something and there's a cafe stop, then
not quite a mammal yet, are you? So
no. I like to stop if it's maybe within an hour of home. You know, I don't like to stop 2 hours into a 6-hour ride or anything.
So how many kids you got, mate?
2 kids.
2 kids.
Yeah.
What's that done for your life, man?
Oh, it's pretty crazy, but good crazy. It's amazing. So I got a 3-year-old daughter and 11-month-old son. Keeps you busy, but
Billy's response when I picked her up to carry her over the line was, "Dad, you're too sweaty. Put me down." Have you had that one?
No, they've been to been to a few races, but I think it will be cool when they're a little bit older. You know, like 5, 6, 7. Then they'll get involved a bit more, and but I think I can tell they're both going to be pretty full on little athletes.
Yeah. What's especially the 3-year-old? What's her understanding of what Daddy does?
Well, she likes to set her bike up on her own little mini wind trainer in the garage next to me. She's always like that. You know, she'll put little weights under her trainer wheels, spin away for a while, and pretty quick runner. So yeah, she understands.
Yeah. And for you, how do you sort of feel the example that you're setting, continuing this on? Like, that was what was great about having Billy at the race, was just like, you know, kind of showing her that, you know, my parents were asking me, how you feeling? And it's like, well, pretty sore, but it's good. Yeah. You know, that you can finish something, that you can train for something, you can work for something. You know, she might have been 3, but, you know, that it might be one of those memories that, you know, that's the sort of stuff that Dad can do. Like,
well, I hope setting a good example through the racing and that sort of thing, because I guess when they're a bit older at school and, you know, they know what their dad and mum have done and are doing, then I think that's probably going to be out of the normal compared to the other parents as well. Yeah. So that will be quite interesting.
Yeah. No, it's almost sort of showing them that things are possible, eh? Yeah, and it's right there in front of them instead of on the TV.
That's their normal. Yeah. You know, Dad goes out for a 100k run on the weekend. It's like, oh yeah, don't even bat an eyelid, eh? It's just like, oh yeah, that's all.
Love that 100k run for the weekend. That's good. It's good. How have you felt about the Olympics, man?
Yeah, Olympics have been pretty good. I think this time round with just the time zone being so
it's handy,
so friendly, and the Kiwis are smashing it, so it's always good. But yeah, you watch sports that you'd never watch outside the Olympics. But just get into everything really.
It's you've probably, I don't know, maybe it's the year, maybe it's the timing, maybe it's that we've been able to train, but there must have been so much doubt going into like competition. Like, has all this work been, you know, have we missed out on something?
Yeah, well, I guess they didn't even know if it was going to go ahead either. Yeah, which was the hardest thing for an extra year. It's like, oh yeah, and that's when a lot of people did retire as well. Yeah. That would have been pretty tough. So I guess just having, I just appreciate the athletes there, how much work they have put in. Especially those ones that are breaking world records and, you know, getting multiple golds is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I watched the replay of we had a Kiwi guy get 4th in one of the weightlifting, and the guy that in the snatch did a world record. I was like, whew. And I think it was 223 kgs snatching. Outrageous.
Can't get that off the ground.
Can't even deadlift that shit. No, very cool. So where do people find you, man?
Instagram, around on Facebook, athleticpeak.co.nz. It's got a few details there to get in touch.
And is that just in person, or they can do that online as well?
No, online. Most of the coaching now is online, with, you know, catch-ups and that sort of thing. So now I can coaching a few people even over in Aussie and America and overseas. So it's...
And where's that sort of stem from, the online work?
Well, I mean, a lot of the online programming for endurance sports is done through Training Peaks, which just makes it so accessible for everyone to load up their sessions, to be able to have the ability to comment and to ask questions and to keep in touch that way. And then I guess with, you know, Facebook Messenger or text or anything, it's just, you know, one message away and coaches right there, or a phone call or whatever. Yeah. So
bloody awesome. Yeah. So there must be so many times where you've got to keep in flow, mate. what keeps you going? Holy shit.
Yeah, well, I think good saying is, you want to get anything done, just ask the busiest person you know, because they're good at getting shit done, good at finding the time.
Love it, bro. Yeah, a bit like tonight.
Yeah.
Exactly. 6 o'clock tonight sounds good. Let's do it.
Bang. Yeah. Lock it in.
Boom. Thanks so much, Simon. This is bloody wicked.
All good.
Legend.